Hello and welcome round to my house. We've got an extra large helping of the show for you today that's stuffed with not one, not two, but three of the best chefs in the business. We've got an epic masterclass that's perfect for this time of the year, and there's a doctor in the house getting stuck into 2 courses of delicious food. So what are we doing out here? Let's get inside and let's get cooking. Morning. Are you coming in then? Good morning, and what a show we got lined up for you today. ITV's resident medic, Dr Hilary Jones, will be dropping by the house later, and I'll be heading to the hills of Jura in eastern France for pork chops on another one of my food adventures. Chefs Haigh and Gareth Ward will be dropping by with some incredible recipes of their very own, and I'll be treating you to a classic recipe for partridge in this week's little masterclass in game. And to top it all off, I'm here in the kitchen with a very, very talented head chef of the world-renowned Northcote restaurant and hotel. It's Lisa Goodwin Allen. What a cheers you've got. How are you?
One. Yeah, I'm very good.
You've taken even more work, I see. I see it on social media now. You're venturing out into the other restaurants as well.
Yeah.
Are you mad?
I know, yeah, just a bit. I like a challenge. It's good. It's good.
And it's great that you're back in the restaurant now and everything's swinging. I know it's busy for you up there as well.
Oh, yeah.
What are you cooking for us today?
I'm going to be doing oat crusted turbot with parsley mayonnaise and some seaweed. So it's a bit of a funky fish and chip kind of thing.
Funky
like
fish
a fish
and chips.
finger, yeah.
I wondered what we got the fish hanging up in there as well, really. So that's the one that you're going to be using as well. That massive great turbot that's taking all my fridge space up as well. But first, we're kicking things off today with ice cream. And I'm going to do an ice cream cake. So, standard cake recipe, we've got equal quantities of everything, really. Sugar, flour, eggs and butter. And then all I'm going to do is we just chuck everything in. But good quality butter, of course. A little bit of sugar. That all goes in here. And we're going to mix this all up. Then I'm going to add the eggs and the flour and the cocoa powder and everything else. So we're going to mix that up first of all and get that started. Shouldn't take very long, like that. You only want to mix this for about 30 seconds, really. That's all you want. Get this full whack. While we're doing that, we'll line our tin. It's a good idea to, even this is non-stick, just stick a little bit of butter in here, just to stick this. And then we're making a circle out of a square. It's probably too early in the morning for this, yeah. for our director, you see. So what you do with this is you take a piece of paper. So you fold it in half, fold it in half, fold it in half, fold it, fold it, fold it. Take this, and then you can cut it, or you can use your fingers, and then you take a little circle. That sits in the bottom. That's a little cartouche that sits in the bottom of there. So we've got our cake mix, really, for this. Then what we want to do is add our eggs. And you can drop this down a little bit, add our eggs one by one. Now, it doesn't matter if the mixture splits. A lot of people panic at this stage when they're doing a cake and they say, oh, you add a little bit of flour. Problem is, by adding flour to this, you're just going to toughen up the cake mixture. So it doesn't matter if it splits. Just keep going like this. Don't panic. Like that. You've got this mixture. It looks like sort of a runny scrambled egg. Once you get to this stage, then we're going to incorporate our cocoa powder and flour to make our cake. But the key to this is all about the ice cream. So while I'm mixing this, I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful gentleman who I met recently on a trip up to Scotland. And I said, I asked him, would you mind coming onto the show? He said no at first, then I persevered. And now, by the power of internet, we've got him. I can see him up in the north of Scotland. We're here to speak to 85-year-old Ernesto Capocci, the man behind this amazing ice cream that I'm going to use to make this cake. Ernest, are you there? I can see you.
I'm here, James. Thank you for the introduction.
Now, tell us the story about your family and how you ended up in Scotland. You know, where did it all start?
Right, I'll tell you now. Do my best. My mother and father left Italy in the southern parts of Italy in 1916. They had to leave to try and find work. So they left in 16 and came to Scotland, and they came to find the work. And in 1926, They had got married, and they came to an old broken down pub, and that's where he started, 1926. I was born in 1936 in the same premises, and went to school in Airdrie, then went to high school, stayed on till the higher grade, but I didn't want to be a student, so I wanted to be a businessman. So I decided to leave the school at 18, but unfortunately I had to go to HRH in Aldershot.
But you were Ernest. You were working in your dad's ice cream shop when you were a teenager as well, though, were you?
Oh yes, we all had to. It was part of the duty of being in the family. But it was mostly amongst the two sisters I had. They had all the work. I tried to dodge it. So
tell us about the place that, because you said you wanted to be a bit of an entrepreneur, a bit of a businessman. I mean, the business boomed, didn't it, in the 60s and 70s? It was colossal.
When I went, I had to go to the army because I had no trade. I went to the army, but I took with me my Bible. But the Bible was not a religious Bible. It was a Bible by Professor Cronshaw of the dairy industry. And all the time I had spare moments. I was a non-commissioned officer in the army. All the time we get spare time, I opened my Bible for ice cream and studied the ice cream ever since that time.
But you were studying ice cream. You studied all over the world in ice cream, didn't you? You went to America. You've been all over the world to study the process, because it's actually quite a complicated process, isn't it? There's a science to it.
There's a very important science to ice cream. Ice cream is one of the biggest trades in the dairy industry. So I wanted to study it, and I went to America, to Philadelphia, because I had a cousin there, and I spent some time with Professor, I can't remember his name, James, but he gave me a week of his tuition on ice cream. And then from there onwards, I went to Copenhagen to study enzymes and ice cream balancing. And I finished off when I was 19 at Auchenkrove in Ayrshire, the Dairy College.
So I mentioned I'm taking the ice cream now. I'm going to do like a Neapolitan cake, really. I've given Lisa's diving into it as well there.
I know. It's rubbish.
It's disappearing rapidly over here. But I mentioned that your business boomed in the 60s. You had something like 70-odd vans and 4 restaurants, and you were the first. Weren't you the first people to advertise on TV, as in a private company?
I was the first person to advertise on Scottish television in 1960. And that developed the business. I did that. And it was through Scottish television that I owe it to. But unfortunately, I can't get that film at all. I can't get my advert film because it all belongs to Scottish television. Oh, that was my history there.
We'll make a phone call, I'm sure. We'll do our best for you anyway. We'll do our best. So before we go... Yes. You actually still live in the same street you've always lived in. The place is still in the same place. Tell everybody, if they're up in Scotland, whereabouts your place is. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Airdrie, in Lanarkshire. The town of Airdrie. We're just right opposite the St Andrew's Hospice. And they queue up, winter and summer, for our ice cream. And they like a little chat from me when I go down and talk to them. And I don't live far from there. I've lived where I am just now. I've been living there for 63. I've been married to the same woman for 63 years.
Wow.
And you're still smiling.
Yes.
And you're still working. And interesting enough, you're still working. If you don't mind me saying, you're 85, and you're still working. You still work there.
I turn up. It's in the blood, James. It's in the blood.
Well, Ernest, thank you very much for this, and best of luck with everything, all right?
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for having me. An Italian, grazie molto. Grazie molto. Buon
stay on the line, because I'm going to show you this cake. Stay there, don't go anywhere, because I'm going to show you this cake. Amazing is that. So while Ernest was doing that, I've made a lovely Italian meringue. But anyway, take this, then you freeze it, all right? And then what I've got on here is I've got one that I've frozen. Like that. And then we've got our it's Italian meringue, basically. All I've done is whip up the egg whites. I've taken sugar, I've taken water. You boil it up to about 118 degrees. So it goes this liquid, it goes like glucose, but hot glucose. And then you pour it onto the egg whites. And what that does is set the egg whites. So it's actually cooked, but you can then take your meringue, which whip it up till it's cool, like that. And then you can pipe it on if you want to, but you can also just take this.
There's two classics in one there, Neapolitan slashed with a baked Alaska.
Exactly.
It's, everyone's dream.
Yeah, exactly. But great for kids, you know, and grown-up kids as well. And you then take this, and you don't have to pipe this all on. You can just put it on any old way, like that. But you just put this over the top. There we go. So
you can only get his ice creams if you go to his shop.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Doesn't sell them anywhere else.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that is good.
It's good, isn't it? And it's people queue up around the block and they've got this. Ernest will tell me. I think Ernest is still listening. Can you tell me what you?
I'm still listening. I'm still listening.
Still listening.
You're very, very nice to me. Thank you.
Ernest, you're a joy to be around and joy to chat to. Tell me about, while I'm finishing off this, tell me about the wafer thing. What was the wafer thing that you do in the trademark wafer thing that you have?
The nugget wafer.
Right. What is it?
The nugget wafer. It's marshmallow, and it's got a chocolate edging round it. There you are.
So it's marshmallow and like a chocolate. Oh, you got a picture of it. Oh, there it is. Oh,
there you are. There it is.
There you have it. Lift it up a bit. There you go. That's the one. So, Ernest, I know you're a businessman. I know you're still thinking. Ernest, I know you're a businessman. I know you're thinking about business even more.
You want me to make one?
No. Oh, go on then. Make one if you go on. Go on, make one.
I'll show you. It's 2 seconds. It's coming off. I've arranged that.
I love doing these. Go on then.
Here we are. Voila.
Lift it up a bit. Up a bit higher. Up a bit higher. Up a bit. Look at that.
My word. Oh my word.
That's the one. Ernest, I've just been officially top trumped on TV.
That used to be sixpence.
Yeah.
Way back in the early days. Now it's about £2.
Well, this is Ernest, 60 quid for this. I think we'll get for it. We'll have a business, all right? Ernest, you're an absolute star. Thank you for being a part of this. How cool was that? Ernest, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless.
Arrivederci.
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 Love him. A lovely gentleman, you see. Now you know where to get the best ice cream from. Right, Lisa will be cooking for us a little bit later, and I'll be in the kitchen talking to Dr Hilary Jones. He's still waving at me. I can still see him. But don't worry here. I know you're still here. Are you just going to watch the entire show? Anyway, you're still here. Anyway, just stay there. We'll be with you in about 2 hours, all right? Don't go anywhere, because after the break, I'll be in the Hills of Joy. Yeah, I'll just be quiet for a minute. I've got to read this. The hills will be alive with the smell of pork chops and another one of my food adventures. Anyway, that's in France, not Italy. Anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Stay on the line.
Maybe we can...
He's still going.
Maybe we'll meet in Sorrento.
Welcome back. Now, there was a saying that I was told once, and I value it. Never eat anything big in your head. So I'm going to give you that bit. And I'm going to have this bit. Anyway, I'll be showing you how to cook game with confidence in this week's little masterclass, and I'll be laying on lunch for my guest, Dr Hilary Jones, shortly. You can dive into it if you want. You get a second helping of ice cream as well. But before that, I'm here in the kitchen with Lisa Goodwin Allen, and we thought I'd have a look at some of the dishes you've been cooking at home. So first up, we've got Kev and Vicky. They've been busy making chocolate fondants. They turned out perfectly by the looks of it. And I love the fact that everybody's videoing now. Look at that. Look at. Tell you what, that looks good, doesn't it, really?
Ooh.
Timing's quite the key, isn't it, with chocolate fondant?
Oh, massively, yeah.
So as soon as it goes in the oven, time.
That's it, yeah. Minute over, it's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, but you want to leave it just rest a little bit for 30 seconds before you turn it out. It's easier before you turn it out of the mould. It just loosens it away a bit. Sue Seaborn emailed saying,
oh, wow.
Thank you for the recipe for Charlotte Royale. Look at that.
That is amazing.
It went down a treat with her friends when they came round. Look at that. Wow, look at this. Where was the invite for this one?
I know.
That's pretty spectacular, isn't it?
Now that's a house you want to go to.
Now that is a party house, exactly. And finally, top marks to Kenny Richards, who served up this dish of scallops, bacon and parsley puree for his 10th wedding anniversary. Great stuff there, Kenny. Look, everybody's sending to chefs. It's your fault, you see. That's what it is. All these fine dining chefs, look at that, the little spoon of sauce on the side of it, but that looks great. Tasty, delicious as well. Right, do keep sending your pictures and videos coming in. In fact, I actually might post this, actually, to be honest with you. We love seeing what you've been inspired to cook at home. Right, it's time to take a look back at another one of my favourite ever food adventures. Now, this week, I'm in the hills of Jura in eastern France, where I'm serving up some local pork chops and showing you how to cook carrots in the style of Vichy, that classic way to cook them. Anyway, enjoy this one. Now, this place is absolutely beautiful. Stunning. And I could have cooked so many different dishes from the region, really. You've got Mont Blanc, which is not very far away from here, which is that classic dessert with meringue, chestnuts and cream. Wonderful dish, but a little bit tricky to do outside in this temperature. So I thought I'd do a dish which is kind of that way, really, in the style of Vichy. And it's using carrots. It's a way of cooking veg, which once you learn how to do it, you will never do them any different. It's just fantastic. They taste amazing. And I'm going to use these amazing carrots, a little bit of sugar, some butter, some star anise, a little bit of salt and some water. So the first thing we need to do is get our mixture on for our Vichy. Now, traditionally, this would be done from the town of Vichy, which is famous for its mineral water. However, we've just got some random bottled water. You at home? Tap water. Doesn't matter. And we pop that into our pan. Now, I'm using quite a wide pan for this. It's quite crucial because the key to this is as the carrots cook, the water evaporates and you end up with a sauce at the end of it. So what you don't want to be doing is cooking them in a small pan. You need to allow the steam and the water to evaporate so everything cooks nice and gently, but also it reduces the water at the same time. So make sure you can do it in a tray like this or a bigger saute pan. So the water's gone in, sugar. 1 table, 2 tables, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, 5 tablespoons, 6 tablespoons. Quite a bit of sugar. Star anise. Now, it's purely optional whether you put this in. Traditionally, Vichy would be just done with sugar, butter, salt and water. But with carrots, these little fellas here are just delicious. This is star anise. Got a wonderful aniseedy sort of flavour. But with carrots, these are just phenomenal. I'm going to serve this with pork as well. But put plenty in. So often with star anise, you just put a little bit because it's quite strong. You need that strength in there. It really complements the sweetness of the carrots as well. So the sugar's gone in, a good pinch of salt, and some butter. This is probably the reason why I like this dish, to be honest, but just a little bit of butter. A whole pack. Mix this together, so we got the sugar, the salt and the water all coming to the boil. Now this is the classic combination that you want for our carrots, and the carrots, I couldn't resist buying these because these are just beautiful. When you get carrots like this, just fantastic. And you need sort of decent sized carrots. At home you can use those little sort of small ones really as well. There's little chantenay carrots, the little stubby ones, which are fine because they're quite fat at the tops, quite short, but they work really well with this because they cook quite quickly. But with carrots like this, these are perfect to cook them whole. What I'm going to do is just trim off the tops. I'm going to utilise the tops as well. There's lots of flavour in here. You can use this in salads, and I'm going to finish them off with a few bits of carrot tops, but just very simply, I'm just going to peel these. If they're smaller carrots than these, just scrub them with a bit of a cloth, something like that. You wouldn't necessarily peel them, there'd be nothing left, but these are just probably perfect for this. I think, if I'm honest, the reason why I like this style of cooking carrots is because I first came across them when I was quite young. I wasn't really into my veg, to be honest, when I was a young kid. I don't think many kids are. certainly back then, chips was about as near as I got to veg, and probably frozen peas. But carrots, to make them taste a little bit different, and the reason why I liked them was because of the sugar. And the idea being, as it reduces, you get this sort of sauce, this glaze that glazes the carrots. And so many times as chefs and cooks, we taught to cook carrots al dente, that sort of crisp to the bite. But for me, carrots really should be slightly over. Now, we can grab our carrots and basically just pop these in. The real key to this is not totally immerse the carrots in water, because you've got to remember the water's going to evaporate, and it's really crucial that water needs to evaporate, which makes our sauce. So if you put too much water in, it's going to take too long to cook and create that glaze. So just pop them straight in, so they're almost sort of 3/4 immersed, if that makes sense. Like that. Perfect. Now with our carrots boiling away nicely, the key to this is just basically at home, just have it on as full as possible really. As soon as you bring it to the boil, just leave them for about 20-30 minutes. Gives us enough time to then cook our beautiful piece of pork. Now this is a lovely loin of pork, almost like a sort of a fore-rib, a beef equivalent really. So you've got the 4 ribs here. Now if you're asking this in your butcher's or the supermarket, what you need really is you need what you call French trim. French trim, the bones have been cleaned, but crucially, it's been what they call chined. It's had this bit removed. Now this is the spine or the chine. And there's 2 of these. You can imagine this on the pig. This is its back, and there's 2 of these. The spine sits in there, and there's another one here. And basically you remove this joint, which means that it's easier to carve as a roasting joint, which means each one of these cutlets is a portion, but also when you cut it raw, you can cut all the way through. It's crucial that it's had the chine removed. You'll never do this at home. You need a big meat cleaver to do it. It's much easier if you get somebody else to do it. But that's a French trim cutlet of pork, a whole cutlet of pork. Wonderful. And then what we're going to do with this is cut this into pork chops, really. You cut straight the way through and you get a nice piece of pork. Same thing again, all the way through. Nice piece of pork. Like that. Now I can tell this is good pork because there's a good mixture of fat and meat. The key to this, and we were pig farmers when I was a young kid, is have pigs that are bred to be in a field. Nowadays they're all sort of bred to do the 100-metre hurdles and there's less fat on it. Well, fat is flavour, and it's exactly what you want when you're cooking pork, because you don't want to dry it out. So what I'm going to do is just basically pan fry the pork. A little bit of oil in the pan, a little bit of pepper, touch of salt and pepper. And then basically we're going to fry the pork in the pan. This is going to take about sort of maybe 10 minutes to cook. 6-8 minutes on one side, and there's carrots for another 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to go wash my hands and wash the board. Keep telling the producers we'll get letters if we don't.
You know what? It's a stunning location, but they could have picked a spot closer to running water. Right, now when the chops are browned on one side, and only when they're ready, turn them over. Oh, and your carrots too.
How good do they look? So it's important to leave these to rest for about 5 minutes. Quick shake of the pan and you'll start to get this wonderful glaze that glazes the carrots. Now, just to serve these, you can just have them on its own. To be honest, that's how they serve them over here, because in every single Michelin star restaurant that I've been to, and the crew have taken me to, I've had a carrot. I don't know what the obsession is with France and carrots at the moment, but hey-ho, that would be 38 euros, please. However, I'm going to serve it with a few more, because out of all the dishes that I wanted to cook in France on this trip, these carrots were one of them, because they're so simple, so delicious. It's really unusual. You just think, well, it's just carrots. But with the sauce and the glaze, they just taste superb. And then we've got our pork chop. Now I'm going to finish this with some of these carrot tops. Just take a little bit. There's a lot of flavour in here as well. Throw them in and just finish this off as in the sauce, because this is kind of the sauce that goes with it. The buttery glaze that you just put over the top of the carrots, like that. You don't really need anything else. Now, I know what you're thinking, this is going to smell beautiful. It's going to smell of pork, aniseed, that kind of stuff. No, it doesn't. From where I'm stood at the moment, it smells of burnt, singed hair. I did that.
But it was worth the pain. My succulent pan-fried pork chops with cracking carrots, prepared in a classic Vichy style.
It's an amazing area of France, that. Right, still to come, we've got recipes from chefs Gareth Ward and Elizabeth Haigh, and Lisa will be here treating us to...
A lovely turbot dish, oat-crusted turbot, which is like kind of a funky fish finger with cucumber and seaweed.
So we've got a funky ice cream to funky fish finger.
Absolutely.
What more do you want for a Saturday morning? Oh. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, I'll be getting a house call from Dr Hilary Jones. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now, coming up, Elizabeth Haigh will be making Singapore chili crab, which is one of my favourite dishes ever. And I'll be showing you an amazing recipe for partridge in this week's Little Masterclass. But first, I've got an appointment with a man who's been ITV's family doctor for more than 30 years. It's the one and only Dr Hilary Jones. Officially the busiest person on TV for the last 2 years.
Unfortunately,
unexpected,
for the wrong reasons.
unexpected, but a big food lover. I'm going to do you a wonderful little dish of sardines. We're going to go to abroad. We're going to use lovely tomatoes from my garden, bottom of the garden. We've got some lovely tomatoes growing in the greenhouse. I'm going to do a little panzanella salad with some sardines and like a little gazpacho sort of dish to go with it. So something
Mediterranean and oily fish.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of that. So we're just going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to make the sauce with some garlic, some onions, and a little bit of the fresh tomatoes as well. But I mean, what can I say? Where do I start with all that stuff's been going on? I mean, it sounds crazy, but it seems to go round in centuries, this.
Sure.
The Spanish flu?
Sure, Spanish flu of 1918. That appeared as mysteriously as this one did. That one started in France, went to the States. The military encampments during the war allowed it to spread, and it wiped out communities as far afield as Samoa and Alaska. This pandemic has now gone global too. We've got international aviation, so travel has been a major factor in spreading.
Do we know where the Spanish flu stemmed from, or is it...?
We think it was a flu virus that mutated in animals, probably pigs, and was transmitted to humans. Right. But again, it was pretty mysterious. We do have some evidence of the kind of virus it was from the bodies that we exhumed from the ice in Alaska. Right. So we know a little bit about it.
Because it sort of came and went, whereas this one... Nobody, it's the unknown with this, isn't
exactly.
it?
Really? You're right. Spanish flu 2 years.
Yeah.
And it went.
And this one seems to be, you know, the worry is now what it's going to be in 3-4 years down the line. Because I mean, medicine's amazing, but what they managed to achieve in such a little time has been phenomenal.
With the vaccine, absolutely. Scientifically, it's been phenomenal. And unfortunately, we still don't have a vaccine around the world. So whilst we've got the virus out there in so many millions of cases, and it's still spreading in some countries of the world, there's a potential for variants to emerge, mutations, which could make it more resistant to the vaccine. So we keep our fingers crossed that this will also disappear as mysteriously as the other one did.
But you know, we've been listening to you all for the last 2 years on this. I don't want to talk about that because I want to talk about you, really, because I mean, fascinating career that you've had as well. I mean, did you always want to be a doctor? Was that something that what did you want to do? Because often when you look at that, your parents are doctors, and you naturally go as a family. Tell us about yourself.
Well, my dad was a GP, and I could see him working 365 days a year, around the clock every day, and I thought, that's not for me. When I was a kid, I just wanted to be a beach bum, basically, and do nothing. And it wasn't until I'd done Arts A-levels and I thought, what am I going to do next, that he did persuade me to go to medical school and transfer to science. So that's what I did. And when I got to the bedside of patients in hospital, I realised that was what I was good at, talking to people about their health or their medical conditions.
Because doctors in their nature have got to be great communicators.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, obviously you've got your very academic ones who work, you know, under microscopes and in labs. But if you're seeing patients, I think you need to be empathetic, you need to be able to put yourself in their shoes and and be able to communicate, stories about their health and reassure them, get them on the right track and look after them.
Because you've moved all over in your career, haven't you? You were just up the road for 10 years, right?
I was just up in there in Hampshire, yeah.
Up in Basingstoke.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So what brought you to where you're doing now? What was that? Because we've got Lorraine Kelly in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
You kind of appeared at the similar sort of time?
Yeah, she predated me by a couple of years on TV, and we worked together on TVAM. So there I was, up the road there as a GP, minding my own business, and I thought, I was watching Breakfast TV and thought, they've got these academic professors who talk in medical jargon and no one really knows what they're saying.
Right.
And I wrote to the bosses at TVAM at the time, down in Camden Lock, and said, how about having a bog-standard GP who talks in plain English and explains things as your friend next door, which is what I try and do in the surgery. And they said, we like that idea, come and meet us. Right. And the rest is history.
And that was TVAM?
Yeah, it was TVAM.
And then you've gone on to, so much of stuff that has happened since and what you've been doing, and still love it to this day.
Yeah, I really love it. I mean, I have the opportunity to talk to hundreds of thousands of people at once about medical subjects that I think they really need to know about.
Yeah.
So if you can reach that number of people, if you can give them the information and the knowledge, that's power. And what's so nice is when our programme gets messages saying, I'm so glad I watched your programme on prostate cancer or breast cancer or meningitis. Without seeing that, we might have missed that condition in our kid or in my husband. And it has changed their lives.
So it's been, I'm going to get on, so I'm going to recap what we've got in here.
That smells beautiful, by the way.
This is the sherry vinegar. So tomatoes fresh out of the garden. Lovely. I've just put a bit of garlic in here, some red onion. I've fried off some croutons. We put the idea of this panzanella is you put the dressing into the bread and you soak it all up. So you get the crispy croutons, and then, funny enough, it goes soggy, weirdly enough, but that's how it all works. And you just put it all together, and that's your sort of panzanella bit. And then you can put some things like spring onions and that kind of stuff in there. But it's really that simple, fresh flavours. And I've got these tomatoes growing from the garden as well. Gazpacho, the key to this is take the seeds out of the cucumbers, because cucumbers contain a lot of water. Most of that is in the seeds. So you take those out.
Okay.
And then when you blend it all up, it doesn't become too watery, and you get this flavour of cucumber, rather than you lose the flavour because it's all water.
Right.
But, I've got to mention, because while we've been in lockdown and everything else, everybody else, I've never cut the grass so much in my entire life than I've done in lockdown. You've been busy doing two things. You're telling the nation, but also, in conjunction of this, you're now an author, not of medical books that you normally do, the novel. And we've got to tell us about this, because this is a fascinating story.
Well, Frontline just rang out to me. Frontline, everyone's been talking about frontline workers.
Yeah.
We clapped for them on our doorsteps on Thursday evenings last year. We praised them as heroes, and indeed they are. And there were so many parallels between frontline workers today and who said they were like working in a war zone, and the frontline soldiers in 1914 to 18 in the Great War.
This is when the book's based.
So this novel is based in the First World War. There's medical history, there's military history, and there's a romance that is the thread throughout the book. So two young people, Grace, who's from an aristocratic background, goes off at the beginning of the war to help the troops, and she meets Will, who enlists underage, becomes a stretcher bearer. The average age of a stretcher bearer then was the average life expectancy was 6 weeks.
It's unbelievable when you read the full
they
story.
fall in love in the casualty clearing stations. Then the pandemic comes along, the Spanish flu, so it's all in there. And I just loved writing it.
And this is, is it loosely based on because your grandfather, your great-grandfather, your grandfather, it's got a fascinating story with him, Battle of the Somme, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was on the Somme. He was wounded 3 times and sent back to fight in the trenches 3 times. We still have a German bullet that penetrated his neck. And I read some of his letters that he sent home, and I kind of wanted to imagine what it would have been like to have been in that situation.
You can't imagine what it's going to be
unimaginable.
Like.
And they were so young, they were so naive when they enlisted at 15, 16. I mean, you think about kids today, for example, and don't get me wrong, some of them are wonderful. But at 14, 15, 16, if they were asked to do what they did then, you wonder what kind of reaction they would have.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's a fascinating read. So is this going to lead on to more stuff for you? Because, you know, you obviously clearly enjoy it. Is this something...
Yeah. I mean, I've written it with a lot of dialogue there, with you know, an adaptation in mind for TV, hopefully. So I hope the characters come to life.
Ah, you see, always thinking about a little film
about that.
there.
So I've got, you know, and some of the characters are based on the medics that I've known. And down the line, yeah, I want to continue this family history. So, yeah, I've got plenty of ideas for other books.
Well, best of luck with it anyway. I'm just going to finish off this. We'll talk a little bit more later on anyway this morning, but...
It smells wonderful.
And then we just got on our sardines, look. And the thing is with these, you cook them. And this is what I love about sort of Spain and all that part. Yeah. You know, you're just simply cooked over the coals like that. You then take some fresh basil, you just rip it up. And then you can use a combination of really good quality olive oil, like that. Just poured over the top. But then what I've done is because this time of year, you get so many herbs in your garden. What I do with the herbs is you just blanch them. So you take basil, you blanch it, and then you blend it with sort of a grape oil, so a standard, not olive oil, just a grape oil. And as you blend it, once it's blanched, you get this amazing coloured oil. Look at the colour of this green oil, but you get this amazing hit of flavour.
Lovely.
That goes with it. So there you have it. That's your first dish. You've got more to come towards the end of the show, but, well, there's 2 dishes there, but you've got panzanella, that sort of fantastic salad with sherry vinegar and tomatoes and that kind of stuff, seeped in bread, and then you've got a gazpacho style with some griddle sardines to go with it.
Wow.
Job done. Right.
Wow.
Doctor.
Thank you.
We've got oily fish and oily fish overload. And
yeah.
Tell me what you think of that one.
Wow.
So, nice and light, fresh tomatoes out the garden. Taste it with the bread, and I think the red wine vinegar is the key to this, or sherry vinegar like I've used. But try not to use malt vinegar or white wine vinegar. But you need something like that.
That is amazing, James.
It is delicious, isn't it?
Absolutely amazing. So many flavours.
Cuts through the oiliness of the fish as well. So you're going to be sticking around a bit later. We've got more for you, more to cook for you as well. But thanks for being here. There you go. Amazing. But join me again after the break when top chef Lisa Goodwin Allen will be here, firing up the stoves. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, don't miss this week's masterclass where we'll be teaching you how to cook partridge perfectly. But first, I'm here with a chef who's the leading light of the Lancashire food scene from the award-winning restaurant, Northcote. It's the brilliant Lisa Goodwin Allen. You are popular when you come on this show.
I'm coming again.
You are popular when you come on this show. What are you going to be doing for us?
Well, I'm going to be doing an oat crusty turbot, so it's kind of a luxurious fish finger, with parsley mayonnaise, some apple, cucumber, and a little bit of seaweed. What
I love about your food, you make it look simple. You make it a simple dish it is. In essence, people look at this, go, it's really, really complicated, but you break it all down nice and easy. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like people being able to do it at home. It's something a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, turbot for me is just it is a luxurious fish. It's really nice. Some people think that it has to be pan fried all the time, and it's showing different techniques, which I love, which is great. So I've got here some turbot, and what we're going to do is season it. So basically, whole grain mustard, whack that on there.
So this is like a fancy fish finger, you were saying?
Yeah, it is a fancy fish finger, yeah.
OK.
So a little bit of mustard on there. We've got some...
so congratulations are in order for you, really. I mean, for you and the restaurant and the hotel. 34th in the top 50 in the UK?
Yeah, no, it was amazing. We were really pleased, and the guys at the Northcote are just doing amazingly well.
But one of the things that I think's bigger than that, in the top 100 most influential people in the hospitality industry.
I know, yeah.
They don't tell you where you are in top 100, but you're quite high up. I definitely know that, yeah.
Very pleased with that as well. You know, I was quite blown away by it. You know, there's a lot of amazing people out there, so to be included in it was amazing.
So what have you done? What have you got on there?
So basically, it's got the mustard, the parsley, and the salt, and then just season it with a bit of lemon juice on there as well. You want to do this just before you cover it in the crumbs, so it doesn't kind of like start curing the fish.
OK.
Okay, and then we've got here is kind of a pané system, so a classic one. So you've got flour and egg.
Yeah.
And then in this bowl here, I've got oats, so just kind of pinhead oats, and katafi, which is kind of like known from Greece, but it's dried, thin kind of pastry. And it's just a nicer way of coming because it's a lot lighter than breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
You can buy it pretty much...
you can buy it from Asian supermarkets, can't you?
Yeah, it's everywhere now. You know, you can get it off the internet and stuff like that. And it's lighter than breadcrumbs, and it's really nice. Gives a great finish to it as well.
People have had it in a restaurant somewhere. It's generally shrimp that are like this in
that's
deep fried
it.
shrimp.
Yeah,
that's
it is. Yeah,
the crispy sort of stuff that's from it as well.
Yeah, and I think again, you know, it's showing, you know, kind of something different. Again, you know, different flavours you can put on the fish. If you like chili and stuff like that, it's great. You can put different flavours like that on there.
So you mix this with oats as well?
Yeah, with oats. You've got half and half. So half oats and half of the katafi, and you can see there now it's coated. It's come out. It's, you know, it's looking really, really good and crispy.
And you don't have to use turbot for this. Any fish will work.
No, you can use any fish, white fish. You can use salmon, anything like that, which is really good. So I've got a fryer here set on kind of 170. So the angle is we're going to drop it in a fryer, leave it for a couple of minutes till it starts to go golden, and then just pull it up to rest so that can carry on cooking in the middle. So we're just going to pop that in there.
So only for 3 minutes in there then?
Yeah, just for 3 minutes, because again, when it fries, it retains the heat kind of thing, so it carries on cooking. So while that's cooking away here, I'm going to do kind of a mayonnaise. So this might be a little different mayonnaise to what people kind of know. Usually it's egg yolk. Okay. What I've done here is I've boiled the eggs for 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes into ice cold water and then peeled them so they're quite soft. Pop 2 of them in here and start them blending up. And what it is, it's quite a clever way. It's kind of a emulsification.
I've never made a mayonnaise like this where you...
No, I think it's a really good way. It's like... So it's kind of like pasteurised, so the eggs are cooked. And then what I've got here is parsley oil. So all we've done is taken parsley with a neutral oil, veg oil, blended it all together and just hang it through a cloth so it comes out pure green. Now,
obviously it's been tough for so many people in hospitality as well, up and down the country. You've then taken on something new as well. You've not just got Northcote, which is iconic.
Busy.
Around the whole of the UK, it's iconic, but you've taken on somewhere else. Tell us about this then.
Yeah, so we're part of the Stafford collection. So we've got the Stafford in London.
Yeah.
So I've taken on kind of the food, the game bird, alongside kind of Joseph, that's the exec chef. Okay. And it's about how you can put some really kind of seasonality of food, but just cook it really deliciously. And the place is stunning as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The first kind of venture outside London, really.
Yeah.
Sorry, outside of the north.
So you just gradually, like you do with the normal mayonnaise,
yeah, just like doing the normal mayonnaise. You can see now if I'm just tipping it on the lid, which causes a slight drip into the eggs. It's almost kind of causes an emulsion, really, rather than a mayonnaise. And it just thickens up. You'll see in a minute. That's about it.
I've never made it like this, to be honest with you. But I know you do salad cream. Salad cream's done with hard-boiled eggs, isn't it?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Hard-boiled egg yolks, which is made similar.
See, it's in a second. See, hasn't split. Still got it. Still got it.
See, this is the thing about this job. You learn something new every day, but...
So what we're going to do is just pour
it
out here.
Oh, look at the colour.
In there like that. So we just put
and I suppose if people wanted to do this in a normal mixer, you would use sort of one with a blade, just...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
like
you
a food
want something,
processor.
Yeah, something that you can get a real kind of good spin on. But it's important to really blend your eggs up. But with them being 4.5 minutes, they've got the chance to do that, to emulsify together. So we're just going to season it with a bit of salt, and then we're going to go in here with the squeeze of lemon, and we just put a little bit of creme fraiche into the back of it as well.
Yeah.
Just kind of like lightens it up in there.
Where do you get your ideas from? Where does this come from?
I think it's just kind of like I'm a big fan of looking at classics and people's favourites and how you can make it a bit different, and also the fact of how you can educate people at home of making something that you can see is quite simple. When they see it, they'll have a go at it. You give them a recipe, they're like, "Ooh, I don't know if I'll touch that."
But you have got a great team there anyway at Northcote around you, haven't you? That's the great thing.
Yeah, no, they're an amazing team at Northcote. So I've got my mayonnaise here. I'm just going to pour a little bit of a pickle. So I've made a pickle here. Right. Let it cool down before I pour it on the cucumber because you don't want them to cure them and completely kind of saturate them. Okay. But it's just white wine vinegar, salt and white wine vinegar, salt and a little bit of water and sugar. Okay. That's it. So just pour that onto there like that. OK, so I've got that there. And you see here with the fish, it's just got kind of that light golden. But you see how crispy it is on the interior there. I'm just going to drop that back into the fryer now, just to get it going again, crispy.
And that only wants, like, another minute, that's
yeah, just another minute, that's it, and then we'll pull it out.
And then, of course, we mentioned the team. You need your team because, you know, if Northcote's famous for an amazing restaurant that you've got there and a beautiful hotel, it's also famous in the industry for obsession. This is an idea, group of chefs all around the world. Yeah, all around the world. This year, next year, so it starts in January, around about the 20th. And this year, we're going to celebrate some of the most amazing, we've only got the chance to do a handful of these amazing people up and down the British Isles. So we're going to be kind of celebrating them, and they're going to cook one night in the restaurant at Northcote. People get to come and eat and, you know, and enjoy their company and stuff like that. And I do believe that maybe you might be there as well. I'm going to be doing one night. Yeah. I'm going to be doing one night. Well, I just think it's a privilege to be asked to do it as well. It was an amazing event. It is an amazing event. Great evening. But anyway, so that goes in there for about another minute. Yeah, so another minute. You see, I've just pulled it out onto the absorbent. Okay. You see the kataffi gives it real kind of spikiness, almost a bit like my hair, really. So, that's where the theme of this comes from, all right? Yeah. So a little bit of salt on there just for seasoning. So what I've done here is put the parsley mayonnaise onto the dish. Yeah. I've got my pickled cucumber that I'm going to kind of just scatter around there like so. All right. On there, I've got some capers and a little bit of the lemon in there. And then a little bit of fresh apple as well. You know, it's just nice to give that kind of bite in there, bit of acidity to it. So then in a little pot here, I've just got as well a little bit more of the oil. So this is just the parsley oil. But you see, this is how the colour of the oil goes, doesn't it? If you blanch it and you... Yeah, that's it, yeah, you blend it. Yeah. But you do need to use sort of a non-evasive oil, so don't use an olive oil. Yeah, so you need to use that kind of sunflower oil or vegetable oil or something like that. Yeah, that really kind of gives it through. So we've got that there as well, and then we've got this lovely fish here that we're just going to season with a little bit. So this is a seaweed, just dulse flakes, just to kind of season it up. And it just gives that little bit of kind of flavour to it in there when you're eating it, but not too harsh. A little bit of the fennel on here. Like so. You do make food look fantastic on the plate. You really do. I love it. I think it's it really makes an appetite, but the biggest thing is the eat of it. You want it to really kind of sing of what. Well, it is a beautiful place to go and work, your place, because you've just got a phenomenal kitchen. It's just the most beautiful kitchen to work in. You know, light and airy and great equipment. Very, very lucky. So that is my kind of version of a luxurious fish finger. So it's turbot, crusted with oats, parsley mayonnaise, cucumber, seaweed and caper. Right, I'm looking forward to this. Can I have a taste? Yeah, well, we all know the proof is in the eating. Well, you see, I'm going to put my glasses on for this one, you see. It's getting a bit serious, privilege there. Yeah, well, it's getting old, you see. I know what you're thinking. I look like a fat Harry Potter. But even before you start giving me abuse on social media, I don't care. Stop laughing up there as well. Thanks very much. But look, you're just going to... Yeah, we're just... They're still giggling about that, you see. This is amazing. How do you do that? That mayonnaise is incredible. And it was so simple when you saw it been made, but... And do you know what? The weird thing about this job is that... I'll take my glasses off for this bit, but... Every day I wake up and I have the same thing in my head. You want to be better than you were the day before? I think that's a good thing in all different ways, but... At some point you realise you'll never be as good as the people that you work with, and this is one of them. Lisa Goodwin Allen, everybody. She's an absolute star. I'm talking about people never be as good as that I'm going to be. This is another chef that's on the show as well. Gareth Ward will be with us in a bit, and I'll be doing a masterclass in game coming right up. But the chefs are going to keep coming. We'll be getting a masterclass of my very own with Chef Elizabeth Haigh will be here, serving up one of my favourite dishes, Singapore chili crab. I'm pretty sure it might be my birthday today. It's not, but it feels like it. But anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now, still to come, we've got this week's masterclass, which is all about game, and there's loads more to come from my guest, Dr Hilary Jones. But first, I'm here with a chef who blew me away with a Singapore laksa, so I had to get her back on the show to cook my favourite ever dish It's the brilliant, talented Elizabeth Haigh. The last time you were on, it was amazing. This smells, honestly, if you could smell it, this smells unbelievable. The crew will testament for that. Yeah, you've got this cooking away nicely. Singapore chili crab, then. First of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
What's the secret behind a Singapore chili crab?
Well, there's just a few known secrets with you've got to get a good crab.
Yeah.
You've got to clean it and prepare it well.
Right.
And get the sauce. It's all about the sauce and just a little bit of care when you're putting it together. But after you've cooked it, it's all about how messy you can eat it.
Right, I've got my pen and piece of paper ready, so I'm going to learn how to do this, because this, in actual fact, is my favourite ever dish. So tell me how to make it properly.
So no pressure then for me.
I know you're going to do it brilliantly, so tell me how to do it properly.
OK, first off, you want to make the spice paste. So, like last time when we made the laksa, you're going to make a spice paste with chilli, ginger, shallots.
Yeah.
So just trim down that ginger because it's quite tough. But
yeah.
Also, I'm going to chuck in some garlic because
garlic is the key to this.
Garlic
as
is key. So you don't hold back on garlic. You can go 4 cloves, 8 cloves, 12 cloves, depending how garlicky you want it. And I'm just going to blend that together. Just going to push down the sides.
I mean, you've had an amazing career, haven't you, really? I'm working in a smokehouse to start off with, an amazing restaurant.
Yes.
And then shortly after getting a place of your own, Michelin star. I mean, it's gone crazy for you.
I think that it's just determination. I've also surrounded myself with... sorry, I've just broken your thing.
It's all right.
Surround myself with good mentors as well that have supported me and given me a lot of advice.
But you never stop, do you?
No, I try not to. I think that I just kind of am a workaholic, so I just throw myself into projects all the time. I just find it very satisfying working for yourself and on things that you're truly passionate about.
Yeah. So tell us about the place we're in now. Then tell me about the place where can I go get Singapore chili crab from you?
My restaurant's called Mei Mei. It's in Borough Market currently. It's a small little coffee shop. But so by day it's like a cafe that does food. So we do Hainanese chicken rice, nasi lemak, which is a Malaysian national dish, which is like coconut rice, fried chicken, egg, anchovies, peanuts.
Yeah.
Super, super delicious. And some vegan and vegetable curries. And we also serve Singaporean coffee and tea. So I don't know if we were in Singapore, if you had any of the Singaporean coffees.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's basically very, very strong coffee that's with condensed milk, very rich, very, very high in caffeine.
Yeah.
But it gets you going for the day.
What was the buns that I had over there? I remember having these sort of...
Mantou buns.
Yeah, mantou buns.
Like milk bread.
That's it.
And that's what we serve with our restaurant with the... Because I absolutely adore, like, dipping them in.
With this, yeah.
Yes, because this is a very saucy crab.
Okay, right, okay.
Okay. In goes next the crab. So, like I said earlier, we've cracked them. So
and it's so important to get this right, because you can't do that once it's cooked.
Once it's cooked, otherwise you'll make an absolute hell of a mess.
Yeah.
You'll have crab flying everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's crucial to crack them beforehand and pre-warn your guests to wear bibs. So
we know. So the sauce itself, you've got some more bits of stuff going in.
Yes, that is just about to go in. So we've got some ketchup, which is actually a key ingredient to the chili crab. You can use fresh tomatoes, but this has got all the. It's a nice shortcut.
Yeah.
So this is quite a large crab.
So classically, would they stew the tomatoes down, or would they? I mean, this is just this in everywhere they would use this now.
Everyone would use tomato ketchup. So this is salted soybeans.
Okay.
So these go in. This gives it that salty element to the dish. If you can't find these, you could use miso, but...
This is where I was going wrong with my one. So these are the key.
And then we've got the chili element, so chili powder.
Yeah.
You could use mild or hot. How spicy do you want it?
I don't mind. I'm just enjoying watching you just cook my favourite dish, to be honest with you. I'm normally should be asking you loads of questions, but...
It's fine by me.
Just enjoying it, to be honest.
Adding a bit of caster sugar in there for a bit more sweetness, but I'm careful on that because ketchup can be quite sweet. Got some julienne ginger to go over the top. And chicken stock. So you can use water if you want, or if you want to make it pescatarian.
Right.
But chicken stock's got a lovely flavour to it. So I'm going to add just enough there.
And then this is where you put the head on now, then?
Exactly. So the head will go on just like so, and that will help steam kind of like keep everything trapped in and not get in the way for the other bits. So I'm just going to put a lid over that now.
Yeah.
And that will probably take about 10, 15 minutes, just at a gentle simmer, steaming through.
Which is a shame, because I can do that tonight. Yeah, next.
And I'm going to switch it over with, here's one I made earlier.
Right. So 10, 15 minutes cooking away like that, just gentle simmer.
So you can see that the crab there has just changed colour.
Yeah.
I'll grab a plate here. Turn that down. And just lift that head up and pop that there. I'm just going to check seasoning there. It's pretty spicy.
I'll just get ready. More wine then. So how many of these are you making a week?
About 100.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 100 of these?
100 crabs.
Wow.
And there we go. I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of a garnish of coriander.
Right.
Some people don't like coriander, so you can leave this off.
I don't mind it.
I love
it.
it. I love it. So you can break it over, but I just like to put some on the side there. There we go.
Not that it needs introducing, but give us the name of the dish.
So this is the Singapore chili crab.
Right. I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm going in.
I'd like a forklift for this. Here we go.
Check that out.
There we go, James.
This is the greatest dish ever invented. I'm saying that this is above fish and chips. To me, it is. It is just epic. But what you have to do, you have to get in and get messy, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's why it's so important to crack it, because you get that sauce penetrating into that shell and into the meat while it cooks. What size is that for?
Usually at this point, I've got to read this autocue thing, but... It's a pleasure to have you back again. Coming back a third time?
Yeah.
Good. I'm quite happy with that. But this is, I might have finished this by then, but this is just absolutely delicious. Elizabeth Haigh, everybody. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Right, we've got another top dish from Chef Gareth Ward and another helping of Dr Hilary Jones coming up very shortly. But after the break, I'll be teaching you everything you want to know about game in this week's little masterclass. It says there I won't be long, but I may be. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, we've got some Michelin-starred magic coming your way from Mr Gareth Ward a little bit later, and I'll be cooking a final dish for Dr Hilary at the end of the show. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And this week's masterclass, we're looking at game, which is absolutely bang in season at this time of the year. When I say bang in season, it's predominantly, it's just about started for certain ones, but we've got a selection of different sort of game over here. Start with the smallest, first of all, the ones that you can get from your supermarkets. We've got little quail. Although this is classed as game, predominantly the quail that we get nowadays is farmed. The key to this really is the speed at which you cook it. It's very, very small, as you can see. So try not to take it off the bones and all that kind of stuff. Try and cook it whole. You can eat the whole thing, you can eat the legs as well. It all cooks nice and evenly. So if you're going to roast this, seal it off in the pan, roast it for about 8 to 10 minutes in a very, very hot oven will be enough for that. It's perfect. You can spatchcock it, that I'm going to do as well, as another great way of cooking it. Then you step up a larger one. You've got the partridge over here. Predominant partridge that we get in the UK is red leg partridge, classed as French partridge. There are grey leg partridges around, very, very sporadic, very small numbers. They say the decline of that is because of the lack of insects, because these require rich protein insects, a lot of them. They equate it to insects and hedgerows, really, the demise of the British hedgerows, really, the sad decline of the grey leg partridge. But there are a few around as well. But the predominant ones that you get are the red legs. You've got your classic pheasants, of course, the pheasants that you buy. It's classed as a brace, one male, one female. The males are the colourful ones with the red plumes and that kind of stuff, and the females are the brown ones as well. Generally smaller than the male pheasants. We've got, obviously, rabbit over here. This rabbit is perfect for a dish like this as well. I'm going to buttermilk some of it. And then, of course, we've got classic venison. Now, you can see from the venison the reason why you don't overcook it. There's hardly any fat on any of these. And you can see what the pheasants are kept around on is corn, and that's what you give this lovely sort of corn, this yellow hue to the fat in there. But you can see there's very, very little fat on any of these. So the important thing is we don't overcook it. Now, you can incorporate liquid into this, and a very easy way to do it. And all these game birds, bar the venison, can be done like this. It's really, really simple. And that's to buttermilk it. And what you do really for this, I'm going to start off with a little partridge, a bit of quail. Now, you can use a knife to sort of portion this up. The best way to do it is a portion of scissors, to scissor it. And you cut it like this. And then to take the legs off, then all you've got to do is take the scissors and you can trim this off like this. It's far easier doing it this way than it will be trying to use a knife. You use a good pair of scissors and you can cut through here like that, and you can break it all down, you see? Much, much easier. So then you cut through here. This is through... I'm using partridge for this one as well, but this is probably one of my favourite game birds. A lot of people don't like game, or they've tried it for the first time. I think predominantly because you've tried it and it's too strong, and that's because the hanging of the game is sort of people look at it as a crucial thing. I don't believe that. I think game can be eaten as fresh as you can, really. I think that's the common mistake is people hang it for too long. It's too rich, too gamey, and you don't need to do that. So with the partridge as well, the little quail, sorry, we can then spatchcock these. So you start off with the breast meat there, go underneath like that, and then insert the pair of scissors underneath like that, and it just breaks up open like that, and that's now spatchcocked. So you can grill them like this. It's nice and simple. The same thing with the partridge. You do the same thing again. This is brilliant. You can cook these on the barbecue for what we've got. A little bit of the weather left, but you've just got the nice little partridge like that. You can break it down individually or have it like this. I'll just quickly wash my hands. But that's really the prep for that done. Keeping it nice and straightforward, nice and simple for that one. And then what we do is we take some buttermilk. So full-fat buttermilk, like that. Now, this is the byproduct, of course, from making butter as well. And predominantly, a lot of the buttermilk that's produced from butter is used as pig feed. But it's brilliant for this. We put the buttermilk. What the buttermilk does, it's got an acidity in there that starts to break down this sort of partridge and the game. But leave this for 24 hours. That's what you want to do. Leave it in the fridge for 24 hours. You don't need to turn it. You don't need to move it. Just leave it as it is. And then you end up with these pieces of meat over here. Now, this is where you can then do two things with it. We can either grill it, which I'm going to do, or we can actually then take this and we can deep fat fry it using a selection of famous spices that from a secret recipe from a fast food outlet. But you can get it online. We've got in here celery salt, garlic salt, a little bit of oregano. It's up to you what you put in. Marjoram, I've got some allspice over here, smoked paprika. But it's usually the celery salt and the garlic salt. That's the predominant thing in here. And we can take this spice mix, this spice blend, like that, mix it all together. And then for the griddle one, I'm just going to take our tray. There you go. I'll lose that to one side. And then we'll take some olive oil. There we go. And then you can pick out the small bits. So this is the little bits of partridge I've got in here. There we go. Now, you could, if you wanted to, like I said, I've set the grill for this one, but you could pop this on the barbecue if you wanted. Just picking out the bits and pieces. There we go. Like that. And these are just very, very simply grilled. So keep the buttermilk in there as well. Like that. Quickly wash my hands again. And then we're going to take the spices that I've got in here and just sprinkle the spices over the top for this one. So just take a little bit of the spice like that. Over. Now, we want to pop these under the grill. And what you're trying to do is sort of think of it like a tandoor, that really sort of charred bit as well. It's not burnt, it's just a little bit charred, a little bit coloured. So we're just going to pop that underneath here. It's going to take about 3-4 minutes, that's all, to cook that all the way through in a nice hot grill, which is about the same time to cook this, probably a little bit longer. But we're going to take our mixture over here and then blend this with a little bit of flour, just some plain flour. And we can take our spice mix. So, plain flour, some salt and pepper, a good pinch of salt, and a good pinch of pepper in there. And then we can take our partridge and pheasant and that kind of stuff, and quail and ones that we've basically spatchcocked as well. Take the entire lot, look, roll it in this mixture. Make sure it's nicely coated and dusted off. And then take the entire lot, dust it off, and deep fry it. So, again, we can take another one. So we got the larger piece in, and then this is where we can take the more individual pieces now. Now, the fryer for this is about 160, 170. The important bit is unlike the grill, not to have it too hot. The reason being is that you're just going to colour the crumb too early, and it's not going to cook the meat. So, that's it. Just pop it all on there like that into the fryer. And I urge you to try it. The key to game, I think, is to have a go, you know, and use something like partridge, you know, and also when it's in season, when it is now, you'll find it in so many different places, predominantly butchers, of course, and the price varies massively as well. It can be as low as sort of £1 each, depending on how well you know the butcher as well. £1, £2, something like that for a brace. I mean, it's not a lot of money. It can go up depending on where you live, but it can be quite inexpensive. So we've got in here our nice little bit grilling away underneath there. While that's happening, we just leave that to deep fry, which is fine. While that's happening, I'm going to do a nice little sort of a relish with this. Nice, simple little relish. I've got a combination of sugar over here. I'm going to use some white wine vinegar, some really good white wine vinegar. That's going to go in there. And I would use white wine vinegar over sort of a malt vinegar. And very, very quickly, this will produce a simple little relish when we boil this all up. Together with some chilli. We've got some red chilli. Like that. Put the whole thing in. So this is produces our sort of simple part of the relish. I've got some lovely tomatoes over here, which I've got from the greenhouse, which are still there, still producing fruit. Like that. In we go with this. We stew this all down, really, and at the same time, we can then take our corn, which is quite interesting because this is what these lot over here would be eating on. You can see that from its little sort of bit of fat on there. They'll be diving into the corn, or the cooked corn that's left. And what we're going to do is we take our nice little bit of sweet corn like that, trim it all up, and then what I'm going to do is get the pan nice and hot, because what I like about corn is I love when it's charred, and you get this amazing taste from it, and it doesn't take very long to cook. If you ever sort of boil sweet corn, it's going to take about 10 minutes, but this way of doing it, we can take the raw kernels like that and put it straight into a hot pan with some olive oil, and it's perfect. And then you just take the sweet corn, pop it in there. Now, the important thing is, once it goes in a pan, just try not to mess around with it too much. Just leave it to char, like that. You're doing exactly what's happening with our sort of partridge and our quail that's under the grill. It's charring nicely. Not burning, just charring nicely. And while that's happening, I've got so many things going on at once. There, that's perfect, look. Look at that. Made more of a mess of my pan than anything else, but look. Take that. Nice little drizzle of oil. Look at that. But that's it. That's all it takes to cook. Nice and simple like that. Takes you longer to clean the tray afterwards. Look at that. And then I'm going to just leave that to one side. It's important to leave it to rest as well. And you can see what's happening with this sweet corn now. Look, it's popping like popcorn. But you want it to char nicely. So this is now ready. We can then lift this out. Look at these. This is what I love about these, because you can then serve this and it just, you can just rip it all off, and that's ace. Like that. So the corn will start popping a little bit. Once you get to, there you go. Look at it. This recipe takes longer to clean the kitchen afterwards, trust me, than what it takes to make. See, look at the sweet corn, it's alive, look, in here. Popping away nice. Look at that! There. Then we just pour this into here. And that's your sweet corn cooked, look. Made a complete mess of my kitchen. Look at my kitchen. We can stir this all together. There we go. So it becomes like a little relish now. Cooks away nicely. And finally, what we can do with that is we can take some spring onions and just some coriander. It's the simplicity of how you want to cook game, I think, more than anything else. People try to do it, make it more complicated. Things like schnitzel is another good one as well. Just Milanese with the pheasant breast, Milanese, something like that, just with breadcrumbs cooked in a little bit of butter with some lemon. It's all it wants, really. You don't need anything too fancy, but... Black pepper. And a decent amount of salt. And then mix all this lot together. And you've got this lovely corn relish. Look at that, beautiful. And then, platter-wise, get a decent platter, and we can pop this on here. There we go. Now, if I didn't have cameras here, I would be putting this in a bucket. Not a bucket, do you know, the cardboard bucket, that one. But, and then you've got this. I mean, this is so simple, just as it is. And it's cooked. You saw how quickly that was. You know. Bit of that over it as well. The most important thing, like I was saying, with any of this, is the cooking of it. You've got to be really, really on it and just make sure that you don't overcook it. Keep all this lovely oil as well, because all that is lovely flavour over the top. Soak that tray for about 2 days. And then you've got your nice little bit of relish, look. If you wanted to, you can just take a little bit of the relish in amongst this lot. Over as well. So there you have it. Hopefully that demystifies a little bit of game. I love it, especially when it's in season. I think it's been stemmed back from when you were a farmer's kid. So there we have it. Bon appetit. Done. Trust me, that tastes delicious. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn about in a little masterclass, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break, but join me again in a couple of minutes when I'll be enjoying another stunning dish from Chef Gareth Ward. I'll see you in a bit. It's lovely, that. Welcome back. Now, we've moved outside together with a chef that I've raved about for many, many years that happens to have a certain Michelin-starred restaurant, a one-star Michelin restaurant, which I can't see it being a one-star Michelin restaurant for long, to be honest. It's the brilliant Mr. Gareth Ward. Tell everybody what you're going to be doing.
So today we're doing some char siu pork, which is one of my favourite dishes on the menu. I remember going to eat in a Chinese restaurant about 8 years ago and having this dish. I thought, I've got to replicate it.
Right.
I've got to do that in the restaurant.
Where was the Chinese restaurant?
It was Zhu in London.
Right. Okay.
And he had this awesome char siu. It was done with Iberico pork, I think it was.
Okay.
And it was just mind-blowing, the flavours, and I was just like, I've got to try and replicate that at home.
Okay, so you venture back up to the motorway.
Yeah, and it took about 5 years to get it right.
Really?
Yeah, the staff were absolutely fed up with pork by the end of it, because every staff dinner was char siu.
Okay, so you've mastered it now. This is 5 years worth of work.
Yeah, and it's still, to be honest with you, it's still going.
Okay.
But we've got to a point where it's allowed on the menu. But yeah,
because you never stop, do you? You never stop reinventing. You never
every
stop
day.
development.
That's the fun of it, isn't it? Like, the thing with food is, for me, is there's no rules.
Yeah.
There's no boundaries. There's no guidelines. That's why I love it so much. So you can just have fun and you can just do what you want. There's no such thing as that's wrong or that's right. It's your way. If it's your way and you think it's right, then it's right, isn't it? So
yeah. Okay.
You get people that say, "Oh, you can't do that. That's wrong." And it's not wrong at all. It's how I want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I love.
Nobody's going to argue with you, to be honest with you, not me.
You might.
So, definitely not. So how do you make this sort of pork then? What are you going to do?
So, for instance, first of all, we've got this amazing pork.
Yeah.
This is pork belly. Normally, you would make char siu with the collar. But these bellies are incredible. These come from one of my best mates in Nottingham.
I mean, it looks amazing. Look
at that, man. It looks like you've made it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It creates incredible fat and meat ratio, as you can see.
Because you've got the big ethos. I need to get on marinate it now.
Yeah.
But you've got this sign as soon as you walk through your restaurant.
Yeah, it's the fat fueled. Yeah, as you can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do with this
fat
first
fuel,
is,
flavour driven.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So this is as I spoke to you before about it. What we did last time is this is our own koji.
Right.
So this is a koji cake. So what you do is you get rice, sushi rice, and you inoculate it with koji spores. And what happens is that you get this incredible fermented mold, basically. It's a white mold.
Right.
And it does crazy things to like meat and things like that. So it's full of something called proteinase, which is an enzyme which attacks protein, breaks it down, which makes meat very, very tender. So you can almost speed age this piece of pork. Right. So you get an incredible flavour and an incredible texture.
Okay.
So what we do is we take this koji cake here, and we mix it with cooked rice, water, and salt.
Yeah.
And we leave it to ferment for about 7 to 10 days, and you end up with this. So this is shio koji. So this is like a brine.
Okay.
Basically. So what we're going to do with that, we're going to get a bowl.
Now you're self-taught with all this, aren't you?
This is just like speaking to friends, you know, doing a lot of research, reading books, and having a good play. Like we've had the time because the restaurant was so quiet for so long that we just had time to play.
Right. Okay. You don't have any time
not
now.
Not anymore, no. We still do play, but nowhere near as much as we did.
Right.
So, yeah, so we've got this shio koji, which is the brine, and we're just going to pop the pork in there now. Yeah. And you just give it a little mix in there. And then you would just leave that pork there for like 12 to 24 hours.
Okay.
And that'll just break it down. And while that's in there, I'm just going to move that out of the way.
Yeah.
We're going to put together the char siu marinade.
Okay.
So for the char siu marinade, we've got all these ingredients here.
Yeah.
So we've got our own homemade hoisin sauce.
Okay.
So we make our own hoisin for the duck dish that I've done before with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have some of that in there. Then we've got the honey from our garden. So this is Innisea honey, which has changed my whole mind. I absolutely love honey. I wasn't a big fan of honey before until we started getting our own. Yeah. And it's just mind-blowing. So...
Oh, you are an amazing part of the world, anyway, aren't you, really?
We use that. We use it a lot. This is red tofu, so red fermented bean curd. Okay. This is what gives it that distinctive char siu flavour.
Right.
So a bit of that in there like that.
So when you tasted this dish 6, 7, 8 years ago and you said, I'm going to take that back to... Where are you starting? Where's your head starting? Because I can't follow you at all.
No.
As in, where are you getting these ideas from?
It's so first of all, I tried to contact a few friends that I knew that knew how to make char siu.
Right.
And I got no answers.
Exactly.
So then you just start researching and you just start looking.
So what are you putting in there?
We've got soy sauce, we've got sesame oil.
Yeah.
We've got Korean chili flakes, which are one of my favourite things in the world.
Yeah.
We've got equal quantities of garlic and ginger, 5 spice. Then this is a little dashi powder.
Right.
And then we've got mirin and rice vinegar. Yeah. This recipe is crazy. Then you've got awesome muscovado brown sugar.
Right.
Really, really, I just love that. We put that in everything. Then an awesome fish sauce. And then we're just going to blend all this together. So I'm going to make a noise now.
Yeah. So the red tofu is where you get that salt, that you get that colour from.
Yeah, that's the red tofu. Yeah, have a little smell of that.
See, that's where you people know, then, isn't it? Where you get it from?
Oh, smell that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
So what we're going to do now?
Yeah.
So what you would do is, you would have your pork.
Yeah.
So you just take it out of here, 12, 24 hours, depending on how long you keep it in there for.
Yeah.
And don't wash it. You would just squeeze off that marinade, that brine. You don't need to wash it because you want that koji to just carry on with doing its job.
Okay.
And then you put it into a separate bowl. So you pour this on here, like so. And you would leave that in there for another 24, 48 hours, depends on how strong you want it.
The key to it is to leave some of the marinade, don't it?
Yeah, so we leave a portion, obviously not on the pork.
Yeah.
And that's going to be for freshness later on to finish it off. Give it that beautiful, fresh kick of all that garlic and ginger and all the beautiful spices.
Right.
So you leave that like that, and then you pull that out of there, and you end up with this bad boy over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to brush it with this.
Right.
This is where the magic happens.
So that's the glaze that we had on the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So normally what you do with the char siu is you would be cooking it in the oven and you'd be basting it with this as it's cooking.
Right.
But I quite like to keep it to the end so it's really fresh. So you get this incredible, like, fresh, garlicky, because I obviously love garlic and I want all them flavours to be really, really fresh and punchy, you know?
Yeah.
So you're just glazing it up, like so.
And you're doing... What fascinates me, you're doing this with every one of the 31 courses.
Yeah, it's
the chefs must love working for you.
Yeah, it's a real fun place to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really lucky. I've got some long-standing members of staff, you know, and we're having a lot of fun. Yeah. You know, and it's all about just music, fun, food, ingredients.
Check out his knife.
Yeah. This is my small knife. It's the smallest one I've got.
Love it. Love it.
So there you go. You can have the end bit there, look.
Good.
There you go, you can have that. Get your fingers dirty. So we're just going to slice this up now, like so. How's that for you?
It's rubbish.
So I'm going to slice up the rest of this so everyone else can have a piece.
Yeah, everybody's happy, yeah. Rosie's happy. We've got a lovely makeup artist called Rosie. She's been here for a long, long time. She's treating herself to a trip to your restaurant in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah,
so she's very happy. So she'll get a little taster before she hits the motorway.
I'm going to get her to face paint all the staff.
That's it.
So we'll get that on there like that. We'll get some more of this glaze on it. Like so.
So what's next for you then? Because you're constantly developing, you're constantly moving. What's 2022 going to bring to you?
I've said it a few times, but I want to get this pub done.
Yeah.
But
hopefully a second star because you deserve one.
Yeah, hopefully a second star one day.
Yeah.
That'd be quite nice.
Yeah.
But you know, if it happens, it happens. If not, I won't lose any sleep about it.
Yeah. You're just happy to be full and back at work, aren't you? That's the great thing, you know.
Just happy to be cooking, enjoying what we do, you know. Yeah. Get the staff back in there. And just having a great time.
And what I love about you, I would leave you to put that on it, but the music you play as well. You've got LPs going full whack right in the middle of service. It's just a fun place to be.
Yeah, we have a full-time DJ. He's one of the members of staff. He is purely devoted to music from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till when he leaves at night time. Yeah. Research and play music. Yeah, it's about having a great time. It's a night out. You know, because you're travelling miles, at least 2 hours, if not 4 or 5 hours from
5 hours from here, 5 hours and 10 minutes.
It's about coming and having a great time.
Yeah.
Let your hair down, wear what you want.
And eat the most amazing food. So give us the name of this dish then.
So this is char siu pork, dead simple. Eat the pork with the tweezers, drink the juice out the bowl.
Job done. Gareth Ward, everybody. I'm relaxed because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know what it tastes like. I just know it's amazing. But I don't have to travel 5 hours to come and see you. You're now here. So you take the other one. Because I never really see you eat your own food, but...
I eat, you know, this is the one thing I eat every night because obviously I've got to try it, make sure it's fine.
Absolutely.
And I eat a piece every night and I'm just blown away. It's like just super, super delicious. I love it. Cheers, mate. Thank you for having me on again.
You are, do you know what? You are welcome any time.
Oh, yeah. Soul food, that, innit? Soul food.
Gareth Ward, everybody. Yeah. Join me after the break while we're cooking for Dr Hilary Jones one more time. But in the meantime, I'm going to finish off this. See you in a bit. Welcome back, sadly, to the last part of the show, but I'm back in the kitchen with my guest, the one and only Dr Hilary Jones. For my final dish, I'm going to do a nice Italian porchetta, or porchetta, which we're just going to layer it all up with some apples, some onions, some nuts. We've got some sultanas over here. Fennel seed is a key to it as well. Some eggs. Make like a simple little stuffing. You can add some lemon to it as well, nice and simple. But we're going to layer this all up. But the first thing we do is make our stuffing. So we just take a decent chunk of the bread, and I'm just going to blend this all up with the apples and the onions as well. Now, I didn't ask you whether you're an accomplished cook. I don't suppose you get time to do much, really, because it's gone crazy for you, hasn't it? You're not just in COVID world, but life in general. You always seem to keep busy.
Yeah, like you, but I'm ashamed to say I am no good at all in the kitchen.
Really?
I've always had someone to do it for me, right. Starting with my mum. And no, I've never learnt the skills, but I certainly admire them.
And how have you been throughout all this as well? Because how have you been personally? Because you constantly, as a doc, you keep getting, I'm sure, and people have, since you've been here, we've got this crew going, can you just, I've got this.
Yeah.
You must get that a lot,
all the
don't
time.
you?
Corridor consultations, all that. There's not a presenter on ITV I don't think I've seen, not seen as a doctor.
Because we kind of see each other, and we saw each other through COVID land in the studio, sort of waving at each other from a distance, really. Right. And then you go off and do your thing, and I do mine.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, recently, this has been, professionally speaking, a very challenging and stimulating time. It has been a great challenge. I just wish it hadn't taken a pandemic with such significant consequences to make me busy. Yeah. But it has.
And still ongoing. We'll talk about that as well. But look, we take our mixture now, blend it all up. But you can put garlic in here, you can put lemon in here, orange rind, it's entirely up to you. Christmas time, you can put even more sort of Christmassy spices in there as well if you wanted to. But you take this mixture now, and we'll take our blade out.
Like a bit of cinnamon. Yeah,
cinnamon and, well, cinnamon, nutmeg. The key to this, I think, really, because I'm going to do this with pork, but you can do this with chicken if you wanted to, if you want to do a smaller version and that kind of stuff. But the key to this, I think, is these. These are fennel seeds. I think really with these are what you want for the pork, but decent amount of these fennel seeds. I love a little bit of fruitiness with it as well, so we've got some sultanas, we've got some walnuts, like that. Bring all this lot together, and then we can bind it together with a little bit of the egg. So you've got some nice bit of egg in there. Bit of salt and pepper, and mix it all up. Now, we talked about it at the beginning of all this, at the beginning of the show. We talked about this amazing book that you've been writing, because this is your venture into novels. I didn't realise this was a passion ticking away in the background.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed writing, and this was a way of escaping COVID-19 for me. It was an escape, and I just loved writing it. So I wrote it as largely as a dialogue with characters coming to life. And it's dedicated to frontline workers that we've been so much admiring in the last 18 months. There were so many parallels between what's happening now and what's happening then in 1918. And my grandfather fought on Somme, And so I wanted to incorporate some of the, the advances in medical treatments. I mean, they were exposed to poison gas, they were exposed to horrific weaponry, and 500,000 men lost arms and legs in that war.
It was, when you read about it,
it's just unimaginable.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of the medical stuff in there, but the historical timeline is accurate, so where the fighting occurred, and then the pandemic comes along.
So this, the whole novel's raced about. So many characters. Well, is it something you want to continue, or is it because it leaves you in limbo? It leaves you in think there's going to be another one in the pipeline. There could be a TV series with it.
Yeah, who knows? For sure. There's also the romance. I talked about the romance, and one of the hardest things I think writing in a novel is romantic scenes. So I got my mother to read the book, and she's 95. And she read the chapter.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest.
With the consummation of the romance,
right?
And she said, "Do you know what?" She said, "That was beautifully written, and every teenager should read it." And I thought it was such a compliment,
right?
Because it was kind of gentle wooing.
You could have opened a whole can of worms with that one, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could have done.
Yeah. So look, all I'm going to do is, so we got this. This is a loin of pork, which you normally get as a joint like this, and then you got the belly on it. So what I've done is just got it from the butcher's with the whole thing attached, really. And what you want to do is just open this all out like this, and be careful not to cut through. But when you get to the loin, you can sort of bring the knife up a little. You can see the loin there. You can bring the knife up a little bit, and then the idea is season this up with salt and pepper. And then you start to layer it all up. Now, another congratulations are in order because MBE.
Yes.
Because you do so many different things, not just on television, and what you do on TV it's been amazing over the years, but your charitable work,
Thank you. It was a surprise when I first got the text telling me that I'd been granted that. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was one of my brothers taking a mickey.
Yeah.
But actually, when I checked, it was genuine, and it's a real honour, of course. And I know that there are many people more deserving than I am. But to be recognised for the charitable work and for public health information.
If you don't mind me saying, you've been doing it for a long time.
Quite a while, yeah.
No, but you're don't mind me saying, but go on, tell me, I don't know how old you are, because you look amazing.
Yeah, I'm 68.
68 years old, but what you obviously keep yourself fit.
Yeah. No, exercise has been key for me in my life.
Right.
I'd rather prescribe people exercise than any kind of medication. The happy hormones that you produce when you're exercising and enjoying exercise, we shouldn't underestimate the benefit of those.
But do you think also loving the job that you do? I think a lot of this, and a lot of this, if COVID's taught us one thing, it's taught us to sort of not reevaluate, but also take a second look at yourself, your surroundings, the people, and we said earlier you can make it go crazy, or you can care about the person next door to you and people next door to that, and I think that's the
I think job satisfaction is so important. Getting a kick out of what you do, helping other people, for me is immensely satisfying. And I would encourage everybody to think about voluntary work, because doing something for other people for nothing is I think hugely important. If we all thought about putting ourselves in other people's shoes occasionally when other people are down, we can make a big difference. Whoever we are, whatever skills we have or don't think we have, we can make a difference.
Well, fingers crossed, we're on a positive route now. And then what we're going to do with this is you shock it first. So you take, to get the crispiness of it, we take a little bit of salt over the top. Now, if you want that, what you've got to do is put it in the oven really, really hot. So 240 degrees first. It's a really hot fan oven. Nothing else, no oil, nothing. And then don't cover it, just turn the temperature of the oven down, and it continues to cook for about 3 hours for that one as well.
Right.
So what's next for you then? Because you still practice?
Yeah, I'm still practicing in the surgery, seeing. For me, I was always a doctor. I enjoy seeing patients on a one-to-one, talking to them, finding out what their worries and fears are, and then we investigate, we examine, we investigate, we sort of, and hopefully we reassure them. I don't want anybody to think they can't go and see the doctor for fear of what they might discover. Because often people are worried about something that their parents had. they fear the worst, and they fear the treatment more than the diagnosis.
Because, I mean, it must have been extremely difficult for you. I'm just making up a little French dressing, but, you know, medicine is one of those things where you look back in history, we're talking about your book and everything else, the stuff that we were told 20, 30 years ago is not relevant now.
No.
You've had to sort of compound that into stuff that nobody knows really anything about. But do you know what I mean? There's so much misinformation, and nowadays with social media, it must be incredible. Never had that before.
What worries me most is the level of distrust in science, the ignorance about science.
Yeah.
People willing to believe disinformation and misinformation without checking any facts, but at the same time mistrusting any kind of authority. And, you know, they know who they are, and I'll probably get a few more death threats after this broadcast. But, you know, I've got to say what I believe in, and that's all I've ever done. I look at the facts, I trust the science.
That's all you can do,
I do my research, and I try and put that across.
Your life is one fascinating subject, it really is, and we could talk forever about it, but I've been told in my ear to hurry up. I've got here a nice little salad. So, I mean, this is in essence what I love about food. I just love the simplicity of stuff like this. We've got lovely sort of leaves. I grow my own stuff at the bottom of the garden. A nice little bit of simple dressing. That's all you want. A lovely classic French vinaigrette. Don't need a lot, and you dress the leaves. They don't need to be soaking in it as well. Just nicely dressed salad leaves. A couple of tablespoons of dressing in there. You don't need masses of it. That's that. But then, of course, over here, I've left it uncovered.
Oh. That looks amazing.
This thing over here, and we take this off.
We like a bit of cracking.
Yeah, well, this is the whole idea of this. You can eat it hot, you can eat it cold, but I just want to do this cold, really, because you've got the classic sort of porchettery sort of thing. Look.
Wow.
And you've got all that lovely stuffing in there.
Boys, you can go now. Just leave me with this.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be fine.
And then you can just take... We'll just take all this, and you just put that with it as well. But there you have it, your nice, lovely little bit of porchetta.
Fab.
And if you hang around for about 3.5 hours, you can take that one home when we're finished as well.
I think I will.
Alternatively, you can put that in your boot. But there we have it, a nice little dish. It's been a pleasure talking to you as well. Thanks for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
Porchetta.
Cheers to you.
Well, there you have your salad. And I will actually give you this as well. But
all of it?
You can have a taste of that as well.
I will.
Taste that with a few of the leaves.
Superb.
It's, I think, with the pork and everything else. When you cook it like that, the idea is shock it, first of all, nice and hot, then reduce the temperature in the oven. You'll never do it the other way. It won't work if you cook it slowly, then turn it all up. So it's nice and hot stove. It's
amazing.
Delicious with the salad as well.
That just brings it out. Absolutely superb.
Well, congratulations on the book. Best of luck with it. And no doubt I'll see you on Monday.
You will.
See you on Monday, on This Morning as well. That's it. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to my guests, Ernest Capucci, Lisa Goodwin Allen, Elizabeth Haigh, Gareth Ward, and, of course, the brilliant Dr Hilary Jones. Yeah. We'll see you back here same time next Saturday morning when I'll be joined by chefs Dipna Anand and Raymond Blanc, and singer-songwriter Natalie Imbruglia will be here. Until then, take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching, everybody. My advice to you now is go now, because Matt, the cameraman, has got a bit of an issue. I would leave.
I'm having this.